So all I have to say is finally. Since it's a family channel, I'll say it's about frickin' time. Today we hear from the legendary vocal and guitar tandem that set the 70s and 80s ablaze with over a dozen rock standards and some of the biggest albums of their time. They've finally been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, one of the biggest snubs ever. They should have been first ballot. Today they tell us the story of one of their greatest rock songs. They first played it in front of a massive crowd at Cal Jam. They blew up the massive festival and were cheered on to do something unprecedented at a festival, play an encore. But they'd already played out all their songs because they were a young band. So they went out and played a new one they'd been writing. They didn't even have it finished. The singer actually had to repeat the first verse over and over again. When it was over, though, tens of thousands of people were singing every word. They knew it would be a smash, and the rocker was so scorching hot, this song, that the guitar solo actually started the legendary guitarist amp on fire. It's true. The story of a classic from the two principals of this band is coming up next. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time, especially today. You know, if you remember seeing Star Wars for the first time back in 1977, you're gonna love this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below so you never miss out. Click the red button. We always celebrate the best of music with interviews, with history, the stories of the songs. And make sure to check us out on Patreon for even more content that helps us keep it a daily channel. So for those who feel the need for a pull no punches, passion-charged rock and roll song, let's get right down to business and crank one up, one of the best. I'm talking about Hot Blooded by Foreigner. Hot Blooded was the fiery lead single from Double Vision, the 10-track aftershock that followed Foreigner's earth-shaking debut record. The band seemingly came out of nowhere to become one of the most successful rock bands ever. Foreigner was a powerful force right out of the chute when they broke out onto the scene in 1977. The self-titled album, it yielded 2 top 10 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, Feels Like the First Time at number 4 and Cold as Ice at number 6, both classics. Long, Long Way From Home, the third single release, that was no slouch either. It climbed to number 20. After Foreigner's debut sold 5 million units, expectations were extremely high for their second album, Double Vision. To germinate new material for Double Vision, Lou and the band would often congregate at Mick Jones' apartment in New York City and work on songs. So during one writing session, according to some past interviews, Lou remembers Mick playing a really cool riff that made him shush every other sound in the room. Mick thought it was just another riff, but Lou, he was smitten, and he started to sing along to Mick's crunchy groove. Lou's idea was for the song to be a bolt of lustful energy with a big amorous chorus. What he came up with was Hot Blooded. I'm hot-blooded, I'm hot-blooded. Lou was feeling it all right. When he cracked the chorus for Hot Blooded, Lou and the band were jumping off the walls and the verses just started to flow. Now granted, Hot Blooded is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it gets right to the point. The song is unmistakably about meeting ladies on the road. I wanna know what you're doing after the show. Lou is honest about the layman's perception of rock stars' prowess. In his experience, it wasn't easy to meet girls while a band is on tour. As Lou would tell it in interviews, you might see someone in the audience that you would love to meet up with, but when the show is over and you get done with all the interviews and getting cleaned up, you know, the venue's empty, and you often find yourself alone wandering around the city. The city the band just played in. There's really nothing to do. The hot-blooded secret rendezvous fantasy is much more exciting than reality, is what he said. Shall I leave you my key? Still hot-blooded with Lou's fervid pyrexia and Mick's heart-thumping rhythm. It lives up to its bravado. Foreigner didn't write songs about politics or social issues. They crafted emotional songs about love and relationships with serious attitude. also Jukebox Heroes. When Mick and the band were in the Sound City studios in Van Nuys, to record Double Vision, the studio was on fire, literally. In the upcoming interview, Mick Jones and Lou Gramm will tell you the story. Hot Blooded, the raging hormone-injected first cut on Double Vision, was the lead single from the album, burned up the Billboard Hot 100, and went all the way to number 3 in 1978. One of the best rock songs of the year. The song held that position in America for 2 weeks and climbed to the same spot in Canada. It also performed fairly well in Australia, peaking at number 24. Lyrics penned by Lou Gramm, music composed by Mick Jones. It was one of many writing collaborations by Jones and Gramm, one of the most prolific singer-guitarist duos of the rock era. Hot Blooded was a pivotal track that intersected 70s classic rock with the evolving stadium rock culture that was on the verge of exploding in the 80s. These guys were on the forefront. The song's legacy transcended pop culture from there, which we'll also talk about next. So after selling 80 million records with 17 huge hits, Foreigner has finally been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got to help him get in, guys. We're going to link to the place to vote below. Remember to vote every day. We're going to be talking about this every day. These guys deserve it. Here's Lou Gramm and Mick Jones on the story of the classic Hot Blooded. As we get into this interview, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Add some style to your life with Zenni's wide array of frames and eyewear. Click on our info button right up here to get up to 80% off regular retail prices. Try it today. Here's Mick and Lou.
It'll be out in about 6 weeks' time. It's called I'm Hot Blooded.
I want to talk about Hot Blooded. That is such a classic song from Double Vision, 1978. First single to go platinum. Of course, the record went 7 times platinum. It hit number 3. It was like my generation or Generation X's version of All Right Now by Free. I was just like...
Right.
All right now, baby, it's all right.
Such a great rock song. Kind of the rock equivalent, too, of Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, but a rock and roll version.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's get it on.
Same attitude, that's for sure.
You played it in a show before it was released, it wasn't even finished. Tell me about that at Cal Jam.
Well, it was Cal Jam 2. I know there was well over 100,000 people there. And there were so many people there that, as far as I could see, there were people going back. Every 100 yards, they had another PA system and a screen set up. So the people who really couldn't see could see the screen and hear the band. We played the whole first album. And I think we had about an hour to play. We were just at an hour. And we were kind of like, all right, we did it. And we walked off stage, and the audience kept clapping and cheering. We were told we needed to go out and do one more song, and we didn't have one. At the time we did Cal Jam, we were in the studio recording the Double Vision album. We had just finished Hot Blooded. So we decided that we were going to play this. We were going to play Hot Blooded, a song that no one had ever heard before.
Here's one off our new album. It'll be out sometime next month. This one's called I'm Hot Blooded.
And we played it and brought the house down.
Hot blooded, check it and see.
As we were sweaty coming off stage, Mick and I looked at each other and we were going, that's going to be one of the singles. You know?
People were singing along by the end.
The hook was so catchy, you know?
And the lyrics weren't done, so you just kind of repeated some of them, right?
I sang the first verse twice. Who knew, you know?
It's got so much energy to it. Tell me the story about that song, behind that song.
Well, it's funny because we were in the studio, you know, it was sort of almost about halfway complete when we got around to doing it in the studio. So we were working on it, and we got to the point where it was ready, and I just needed to put a guitar solo in there. So they play the track, and I'm getting ready to wail on it, and suddenly my speaker catches fire in the studio.
The amp. Tell me the story about the amp. Were you there when that happened, when Mick was playing the guitar?
You know, he liked that Marshall sound where it's loud, but there's a little tear of distortion in it, you know. It was one of his amps. I know it was one of his real good amps that he thought a lot of, you know. So he's playing, and I'm about 5 feet away from him, you know, and all of a sudden I'm going, what is that smell? And I just cocked my head a little bit over towards him, and I saw the smoke coming out of the amp, you know. And then it broke into a little fire too.
I'd never had that happen to me either. It was just a freaky thing, the actual speaker, and then it burned the whole frame of it and everything. It was
wow.
But I got the solo.
Now it's up to you.
And one of the other guys, smart as he was, had Mick's backup amp plugged in, so just took the cord out of that and put it in the other one, and Mick barely lost a half a measure of playing. That was so slick, I couldn't believe it.
Well, it's hot-blooded for sure, man. That song was...
It was hotter than we thought that day.
Hot-blooded, check it and see.
How did you come up with that incredible riff? Because that's so well known.
You know, you sit down, you write, you got a guitar and a little fuzzy amp for riffs and stuff to come up with. It was just came off the top of my head, really. I remember Ted Nugent called me up when he'd heard it, and he said, Mick, man, there's cats out there that would chew your old boots to play that solo.
Great guitar player.
A great guitar player, yeah. So coming from him, that was really quite special.
That riff.
Mick obviously came up with the guitar riff, the da 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 da. We naturally went into the chord progression, and the words came very quickly for me for some reason. I think it was the whole tempo of the song and Mick's attitude playing guitar. The words just came out, and they were very suggestive in a fun way, you know.
The fact that it became a worldwide sports anthem. And that was pretty crazy because the song is definitely about, it's a rock equivalent to Let's Get It On.
I guess it was more of a straightforward rock song in the story. There was not really a story. It's just about being on the road and, you know, meeting people and hot chicks and all that kind of stuff that giving a girl is key to your hotel room and all that stuff, you know. It was
rock
all
and roll.
good fun.
Of course, it was used in Vision Quest, the movie, and The Simpsons, and Blades of Glory, and King of the Hill. What did you think about when, like, The Simpsons and King of the Hill used it? Did you ever see that?
Hot buttered, check it and see. I got a fever of 450.
Healing process takes time, honey.
Yeah, I did. I was very happy about that. I thought that was pretty cool coming from those particular shows, which I'm a fan of. You know, to me, actually quite prestigious.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's a great, huge following, obviously, for those shows, and it makes it that extra much special, you know.
Well, it's sung by the stars of the TV show Bones on 2 different occasions. I thought that was pretty cool. Famously sampled by Tone Loc for Funky Cold Medina. Who approached you about that? Do you remember? Tell me about that.
I'm just trying to think. You know, I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I kind of got feedback from my kids, and they thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And and it was, in a way, you know, it was. I loved the way he took the chords, and you know, and with the way he flipped it around a bit. I thought it was pretty nifty.
Yeah, that was cool, and to be able to introduce it to, you know, the hip hop generation as well. What did you think when Tone Loc sampled it?
Didn't like it because he put it out, didn't get permission from any of us, and wouldn't admit that it was a foreigner track that he did his song to. Yeah, and it was real obvious. You strip away that stuff, and it's that song. It is that song, you know.
No joke.
It's Mick's guitars too. He didn't even have anybody else play it. It's our musical track. You know, it was a big hit for him, so we definitely reached a settlement.
Yes, you did, right? Yeah, because that's a huge part of the track. I mean, that's what the ear picks up on for sure. Well, and I love how they use it in Vision Quest, because the song was already a couple years old by the time they used it in Vision.
You're right. Yes, it was.
It was the perfect song for what they were trying to portray there.
We can make a secret rendezvous.
I think I told you the story, but this song takes me back. I was in high school. I think I was a freshman, and I had some bullies that were kind of bullying me. They were bench pressing as much as they could. And they were like, I bet you couldn't even bench press the bar. And I bench pressed the bar, and then they put a couple of 25s or 50s on each end. Said, let's see this. And there was a really cute girl there that I liked. And they were really, you know, razzing me and giving me a hard time. I bet you can't even bench these 250s, you know. And I didn't think I'd be able to do it because I was a scrawny kid. And the stereo was playing, and all of a sudden, Hot Blooded came on. And it gave me the motivation, and I picked that thing up and I threw it up. I took it off the bar, threw it up, and if it wouldn't have been Hot Blooded, I wouldn't be able to do it.
And did that quiet them down a little bit?
Yeah, it did. And the girl kind of, you know, gave me a little nod, but it was a good thing that it was Hot Blooded and not something like Afternoon Delight, you know.
Oh, dear Lord.
But that was where Lou Gramm and Foreigner saved my butt in high school, because that was a perfect song for that, and I love your vocal on that. It was always all about the voice. It wasn't the fashion. It was about just getting in there and tearing it apart with the vocal.
And we were t-shirts and jeans on the stage. You know, Mick always had a jeans and a nice shirt and nice boots, but I was wearing sneakers. You know, high tops. I always made sure my t-shirts weren't real tight, but a little snug, and that whatever was on there always was striking, you know. I made a point of finding shirts that would look good from a distance too, you know. It was a lot of fun. You know, I mean, I certainly had the body for it in those days. I was a scrawny guy, and we had just started having a trainer come with us. So on our off days, we were working out for an hour and a half with the trainer, you know. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing these pictures of me where before I was just skin and bones. All of a sudden, I'm seeing these little pops of muscle come on. I'm going, what is that? You know?
So the end of that story about me bench pressing with the bullies ragging on me has a pretty cool ending. Soon as the Mick Jones solo came on, my arms began to do what happened when Sly Stallone turned his hat backwards on over the top. I wheeled that damn thing all the way up off my chest, back on the resting bar, and I pulled it off. I mean, Foreigner had saved my life. Of course, the bullies just said that I got lucky, but I knew better. The cute girl had been watching from afar, gave me a smile, I'm telling you, great songs never die. They motivate us, they move us, they get us through impossible obstacles. Hot Blooded did that for me that day. I'm so lucky it came on the radio at that moment. It really lit a fire inside of me, gave me a fever of 103. It does that for all of us. Man, make sure to vote below to get Foreigner into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let's get them to be the #1 vote getter. I mean, I love Ozzy. I love some of these bands and artists that are up for it, but man, Foreigner deserves it. You saw what Paul McCartney said.
Foreigner, not in the Hall of Fame.
Make sure to vote below. Let's do this, guys. Let's make this happen. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Let's have a great discussion below about Foreigner, about Lou Gramm and Mick Jones. Truly one of the greatest tandems ever. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.